it all game. We are motivated. We are dedicated. Come on now. Come on now. We will win. We are the best on the field. And we hit the field light, all day light, all night light, on the blue light, offense light, defense light, his squad light, house call light, and the sound light, and the sound light, and the sound light.
Welcome to the Short Sports Show. I am your host, Daniel Short. Today is Friday, January 13th. Today's Friday the 13th. It's all right. We're going to be all right. Lots of news to talk about. Of course, affecting the most is the almost said it. The Los Angeles Chargers. The Chargers have now moved to Los Angeles. Of course, we're going to talk about that and how I'm dealing with it because as a Chargers fan, it's tough. It's tough. No, we're going to talk about that. I'm actually happy with the move. I'm happy with the move. One thing that happened this past week, honestly, I should say, that really bothered me was the fact that I saw several quote-unquote reporters, analysts, on-air hosts, whatever you want to call them. They called out Alabama. They called out Nick Saban. And they asked the question or gave the statement saying that Alabama and or Nick Saban is overrated. And I take offense to that. I'm not an Alabama fan. I do like them. I'm not a fan of them. They're not my team. I like Nick Saban. And I think most people who understand football, as a fan, as a media person, as a coach, whatever you want to call yourself, you would all agree that Nick Saban right now is the best college coach in the country. And to call him overrated, to call Alabama overrated because they lost the national championship game to a really, really good Clemson team is just stupid. It's ridiculous. So we'll talk about that in just a little bit. There's a new option now for, I know you can't see me, but I'm throwing up the quotation marks of college players to get paid. We'll talk about that and how that's going to affect the NCAA. More coaching changes around the country in college football and, of course, in the NFL. Reactions to the Chargers moving to Los Angeles and how Odell Beckham kind of just needs to chill out. Also, of course, we're going to not recap, but preview the NFL Divisional playoffs. We got some great matchups, both in the NFC and AFC side, that I'm excited for. It's a lot. It's a lot. We got a lot to talk about. I'm excited for. First, of course, we'll always start with college football news. First, that's Michigan star player, defensive linebacker, safety, whatever you want to label him, because he just about does it all. Jabril Peppers. He announced his intentions to declare for the NFL draft on Tuesday. At Michigan, he spent time again at linebacker, cornerback, nickel defender. He was even on special teams as a returner. He played a little bit of offense, but he missed the season-ending loss to Florida State in the Orange Bowl because of a hamstring injury that suffered the day before the game in practice. Now, he's been kind of, it's been speculated whether he actually did get hurt or if he kind of pulled the Christian McCaffrey, Leonard Fournette thing of, I don't want to play in the bowl game, my last game. I want to stay healthy. We don't know. You know, he seemed pretty determined that he said, if I just had one more day, I would have been out there. But that's easy to say when it's all over with. And you can't change it. It's easy to say that. So, I don't know. I'm on the side that maybe he was truly, it was bothering him and they didn't want to, of course, extend the injury worse. Because in that same game, we saw his teammate, Jake Butt, tear his ACL, blew out his knee, and what went from a potential first rounder to could be third, fourth, fifth, maybe not even drafted. I think Jake Butt will still get drafted. He's one of the best tight ends, but blew out his knee in that game. So Jabril Peppers, he's going to the NFL drafts, and I think we all kind of knew that was going to happen anyways. Former Indiana coach Kevin Wilson has been hired as offensive coordinator after coach Urban Meyer said he wanted to upgrade that offensive attack So Kevin Wilson is now going to Ohio State. He's staying in the Big Ten. Now Meyer, he hired Ryan Day as his new quarterbacks coach to take the place of Tim Beck, who ended up going to the University of Texas. Now the thing with Kevin Wilson, if you guys remember, he was accused of mistreating players. One of his former players' father told ESPN that his son was rushed back from concussion, causing symptoms to intensify. Now, Indiana Athletic Director Kevin Glass accepted Wilson's resignation last month, citing philosophical differences, but added there were no compliance issues involving the decision. Either way, when you're dealing with something like that, we all know Urban Meyer, he does his homework. He knows what he's doing, but that is a little worrisome. That's a little worrisome to see that. Now, like I said in the beginning, when we're just talking about some of the topics we're going to have on the show, there is another option for college players, bunny ears again, to get paid to play. Now, this has been one of the biggest discussions over the past several years, that collegiate players should be paid while attending school because of how much money they make for the university. And people that disagree that they shouldn't get paid, saying they get free education and room and board and all this, well, you haven't lived the life of a student athlete. Check out what they do day to day, week to week, month to month, season by season, and let me know why they shouldn't get paid. So there's this new option. A group of organizers with deep NFL ties plans to create a new professional football league. Now, let me pause real quick. This is not going to compete against the NFL. This is simply a farm system, a developmental system. This will allow either top high school recruits to not enroll at any university, or a JUCO player wanting to get another shot, more eyes on them, or college players simply saying, I need money because of different situations. We don't know what's happening in their life. Some already have kids. Some have a family already. Some have a family in poverty. And what this money could do, get them out of it. A better living. So it's an alternative to college football that offers a salary. It's called the Pacific Pro Football League, and it will begin in 2018 with 4 teams based in Southern California. And unlike many other startups, again, it's not going to be competing with the NFL. It's co-founded with Don Lee, the league CEO. He's also an agent. Also Ed McCaffrey, former NFL wide receiver. You have Mike Shanahan, Mike Pereira, who is famously seen on Fox. He was an NFL officiate. Adam Schefter's in, and a few others. Organizers hope to expand beyond California at some point, but right now it's all going to be in California. Average player salary is going to be $50,000 a year, which is pretty solid. It's good living. The league initially will play a 6 to 8 game season that runs through July to August, so it won't affect during the NFL time or college football. And it's perfect. It's really perfect in a way that it's being created right now. Players will also be offered tuition and books at a community college if they want to. The thing is, when a player is hired or signed, whatever you enroll, whatever you want to call it for this, their college eligibility is gone. They could play, they just sign the paperwork, all 4 years, 3 years, 2 years, 1 year, anything that they have is gone. They cannot transfer, they cannot go play in college football anywhere else. This is just, it is a professional football league, though it's really looked at as a developmental league. So I think this is perfect. Officials expect to initially to rely heavily on junior college players, those with a year or two with college experience, kind of seasoning under them. And rosters could be filled with players who don't academically qualify for 4-year schools or have a little bit of college experience and want to play. And I think it's perfect. I like this decision, and I think it'll force NCAA to really take a serious look and stop being so damn greedy to pay college players. It has to happen. There are ways to get it done. I mean, you just look at the money, the amount of money each school brings. Alabama, just in the national championship or this football season, made over $103 million, roughly. Reported income, 103 for just Alabama, $103 million. And now people, well, the facilities, the coaches, well, maybe the coaches should take a pay cut. I'm talking even to Nick Saban, $9 million. When you got players who have families who are struggling, that are making this money for you, there are different ways. I think this is perfect. It'll, within a few years, I think it'll push the NCAA to finally start paying some players, because eventually we're going to see some top high school players just say, you know what, I'm going to take this route. You're going to start seeing some JUCO players go. Maybe some college players end up saying, you know what, I don't want to deal with school. I don't want to deal with the hassle of it. I can get my degree later. Let me just go play football. I don't know. I like this. Let me know in the comment section what you believe. I like this. I like this option by the Pacific Pro Football League. It's going to be nice. I really do. I really do like it. It's something new. Something new. Now, one thing, again, like I said in the beginning of the show, what I didn't like, and this was the most frustrating thing I saw this past week. Of course, Monday, Alabama lost to Clemson in the national championship game. And just the next day, Skip Bayless, which I don't like to watch these debate shows, First Take, Undisputed, whatever, because all it is just saying something very outrageous so you could get viewership, and one person states one extreme and the other person goes on the other extreme just to build conflict, because that gets views and that gets shared and that equals money. The most frustrating thing to see was when Skip Bayless, and I don't know why it affected me so much, but I just thought it was so stupid. He wanted to promote his new show on Fox, and he tweeted, Nick Saban is overrated. And then he tagged the show and what time you can watch it or listen to it. And it bothered me because of the fact of how stupid and ridiculous that statement is. And I didn't watch what he had to say or listen to what he had to say, because at that point, you're not, I don't know. You're just doing it for the money. You're just doing it for the views. And I don't know, to get this reaction, I guess. But it wasn't just Skip Bayless. There are other people with their little blogs and whatnot to report that Alabama was overrated. We overrated them. How was Alabama overrated? And again, this is not coming from an Alabama fan. I'm not an Alabama fan. It's just ridiculous to see this type of stuff when it's not needed. You really, to go on that extreme and to say that the Crimson Tide is overrated, or that or Nick Saban is overrated. You shouldn't even talk sports. You shouldn't be allowed to talk sports to be saying stuff like that. You know, I had someone tell me, well, they're just talking about Alabama's defense. It was overrated. You know, in the last few games, they got exploited. Well, I think we all knew, one, Alabama's defense is dominant. There's no doubt about it. For the past several years, Alabama has had a dominant defense thanks to part of their coaching and recruiting top talent and then producing NFL talent. These guys were dominant. Now, I think media analysts and fans of college football, people who've actually watched Alabama play, I think we all saw that the secondary was really their weakest point. But it was so hard to really see it sometimes because of that defensive line being their strength, their bread and butter. When the quarterback's got about 2 seconds to throw the ball, it can make any secondary look good. So I understand if, you know, a little bit of that. But they were still dominant. And I don't think they were overrated. I didn't think anybody overrated them. They still have one of the best defenses in college football, and one of the best. But for a coach to build what Saban has built, or rebuilt, Alabama's had tradition, to continue to reproduce NFL talent each and every year, I think it's crazy to think that Alabama was or is overrated. That's just dumb to think that. They're not. They weren't. And I understand the frustration, you know, when you see them in the top 3 and the top 5 each and every year. But that's just a credit to what they've done and what they've built. And they will continue to stay there until Saban decides to ride off into the sunset. So to call Alabama overrated, to call Nick Saban overrated, just stop watching sports. Just stop talking college football all over. Because that's just a dumb statement to make. And actually talk about something more specific, realistic. I don't know. My rant of the day. That was my rant of the day. I had to get that out because, oh man. Yeah, you got my show over here. We talk some good stuff. We talk some legitimate sports talk. Trying to get some views. Trying to get some people to listen. And then you have Skip Bayless, which they get millions of views. And they talk about stuff like that. Calling Saban overrated. That's what you use your platform for? Whew, man. Must be nice. Nebraska Cornhuskers coach Mike Riley announced on Wednesday that the dismissal of defensive coordinator Mark Banker, who coached with Riley for 20 seasons at 4 different places, straight up said, "You're gone." Now, Banker was in his second year at Nebraska, and he directed a unit that ranked 10th in the Big Ten in 2016 in yards per play allowed, yards rushed per attempt, and passing yards per game. That's pretty bad. Given that there's 14 or 12 teams in the Big Ten, it's pretty bad. The Cornhuskers, who improved to 6-7 in their first season under Riley and Banker to 9-4, struggled completely on defense. They suffered a 40-10 loss to Iowa, followed by a 38-24 loss to Tennessee in the Music City Bowl. And Ohio State also beat them 62-3. So, and this isn't the first quick trigger move by Riley at Nebraska. He fired Hank Hughes, a defensive line coach, after the 2015 season, and dismissed special teams coordinator Bruce Reed following the loss to Iowa that closed the regular season in November. Boom, gone. And now his defensive coordinator that was with them for 20 seasons, gone. Got to make a change, though, if it's not working. So I'm okay with it. Auburn won't interview Art Briles for the offensive coordinating job. Now, Briles will not be considered for the position because of his role at Baylor in the sexual assault scandal. Now, Auburn is seeking a new offensive coordinator after Rhett Lashlee was hired and took the UConn job. Briles was speculated as a candidate because of his friendship with Auburn coach Gus Malzahn and because former Baylor quarterback Jarrett Stidham transferred to Auburn last month. So it seemed like it was all in place for him. Now, Briles was also interested in replacing Tom Herman as coach at Houston, his alma mater, but the school released a statement indicating that Briles would not be interviewed for that position. And rightfully so, Briles should not be a coach in college football again, at least for right now. And so far, it's working that way. Last bit of college football news before we move over to the NFL. That is Wisconsin defense coordinator Justin Wilcox has been offered the California head coaching job and will accept it. They're finalizing the deal. Now, Wilcox, he was a Cal assistant from 03 to 05, and he would replace Sonny Dykes, who was fired Sunday, shockingly, after a 19-30 record over 4 seasons with the Golden Bears. And it was pretty crazy. When Sonny Dykes got fired, I was like, okay, maybe it's Chip's time. Maybe they want Chip Kelly. Nope. They didn't even interview him. And I like the statement that Cal had to say. You know, they were really strict about it, and I agree with what they said. They said because of Sonny Dykes had taken a couple interviews the past 2 years with Baylor and another school, they said, we want a coach that's committed through and through with the program. So you're through, since you're not committed to us. Fired Sonny Dykes right there on the spot. And now Justin Wilcox, the Wisconsin defense coordinator, headed over to Cal. And I like this hire. I really do. This is a really good hire. Justin Wilcox going over to Cal, fixing some things up. And his eye for talent and recruiting is unbelievable. The guys that they can get at Wisconsin. I mean, when you can recruit guys to go and play at Wisconsin than other places. I've never been to Wisconsin, but from what I've seen, I would much rather go play in California or just about any other state then go play in the state of Wisconsin in that cold, that weather. Nah, this doesn't do it for me. But he got him, and now he's going to Cal, where it's not going to be that hard to recruit to go to Cal.
Today's show is sponsored by InnerGrind. Based out of Houston, Texas, let former Texas State linebacker Michael Rakpo help you reach your fitness and nutrition goals. With personal training classes that start at $40 a session, why not be a part of this rising program? And whether your goals are to lose weight, gain muscle mass, find the right off-season program, or even for you ladies out there to get that booty blast, you can do it all with InnerGrind. Not a Houston area, not a problem. InnerGrind has a program that is personalized just for you. InnerGrind has everything you need to meet your personal and healthy goals. NFL linebackers like Titans Brian Orakpo, Chiefs Derek Johnson, Buccaneers running back Charles Sims, and San Diego Chargers cornerback Craig Mager, along with many other young athletes, have already begun. Find your personalized workout and nutrition plan at InnerGrind.com and call 832-475-2829. That's InnerGrind.com, 832-475-2829. Unleash your inner grind.
Why the Chargers will succeed in Los Angeles. I'm going to tell you right here. The Chargers officially announced their plans to move to Los Angeles on Thursday. They're gone. They're moving the franchise to Los Angeles after 56 years in San Diego. And despite having an extension, a couple days to say, hey, you guys can, make the decision next week. Nope. And the Chargers quickly changed their Twitter name and showed off a logo that, well, I don't know if we all agree. They got trolled badly. Everyone picked on them. Dean Spanos had until January 17th to exercise the option of moving the team to Los Angeles and said, you know what? We're off and going. And now it's difficult to talk about this. I'm a Chargers fan. I am. Bam, bam, bam. I've been a Chargers fan for 10 years now. 10 years. 2007 was the first year. Yep. It's been a while. I've been a Chargers fan, and all because of LaDainian Tomlinson. I've talked about this before. The reason I'm okay, and the reason I believe the Chargers will succeed in Los Angeles is because of several reasons. Now, San Diego just wasn't working for both. And I'm going to first state this before Chargers fans, because you're either on one side or the other. You're either happy with the move and you still love the team, or you hate the move and you hate the team. I haven't seen anybody in between. I haven't talked to anybody. I haven't seen anybody that's in between. I'm okay with the move. I'm happy with the move to Los Angeles. And I'm going to hold off to say if I still like the team, because hiring Anthony Lynn, which they just did, the former Bills offensive coordinator and interim coach, as their new head coach, I don't know. That wasn't my first choice. And to say that I don't see how you go from interviewing 4 or 5 defensive coordinators and a special teams guy to you interview one offensive coordinator and he's your guy. I mean, you had to have a perfect interview to steal that job. Because I have nothing against Anthony Lynn. I just don't understand the point of hiring an offensive coordinator as your head coach. Ken Wisenhunt you said you want to keep him. I guess they have the same offensive, I don't understand it. I don't understand it. Gus Bradley is most likely the defensive coordinator to interview him today, right now. So he'll likely be. I like that hire. I'm worried. I said last week that if the Chargers move to Los Angeles, and if they completely rebrand, I'm not a fan. I like the Chargers. I like the colors. I like the uniforms. I don't want a new team. I'm not going to call them the LA Express, the Stars, the Lightning, the whatever. I'm not calling them a different name. I won't be a fan of them anymore. So I know that's a little weird based off I'm going off of how they're going to look. That's just how it is right now. My thought process of why they should have either stayed or didn't stay, just look at the past couple seasons. And I'm talking about past couple years. At Qualcomm Stadium. Look at the different home games. I'm throwing up the bunny ears again. They weren't home games. when you have more Broncos fans, and I can understand the Raiders aspect because the Raiders very popular in California, and there's some people that say, and I can agree that there are more Raiders fans in Los Angeles, and it makes more sense for them to go there. Fine, I don't care. It didn't happen. They're going off to Las Vegas apparently. But if you look at the games against the Patriots, the games against the Broncos, the game against the Packers, games against just about any other team that we've hosted, and it's either split right down the middle, or there are more opposing fans than there are Chargers fans in San Diego. So for those that were saying, we love the Chargers, we want them to stay, there was no support. And then that counter argument comes right back. Well, look at the product on the field. Well, either you go and support them when they're doing iffy or bad, or you don't support them at all, and that team's gone. And that's what happened. You're either a fan through and through when they're doing good, back in 06, 07, we're riding high, or this past couple seasons, we're riding low. You show up. You didn't. You didn't vote. You had a chance to vote multiple times, and the most recent one, a ballot measure for a new downtown stadium, coupled with an expansion of a convention center, was voted down 57% to 43%. You didn't want the team to stay. You didn't want them in San Diego. Yes, could Spanos family, did they handle this completely wrong? Absolutely. There were much better ways. And honestly, I can contest that maybe this isn't the best owner group in the NFL. I can agree with that. Both sides screwed up. But to blame it all on the Chargers, which I'm seeing all the San Diego media, and of course I understand the beat writers and the radio hosts, the sports radio hosts in San Diego that are, their jobs are there, their families are there, and that they no longer will cover the Chargers. Maybe that cuts their salary, which is already probably pretty low because radio hosts, we don't get paid that much. And so I can understand their frustration. But to blame it all on the Chargers organization and not take some responsibility for those people in San Diego, you're blinded. And it's partially your fault. If you didn't show up, and I get, well, I didn't have money to go to a game. You know, I can understand that. You know, I get not everybody in San Diego had enough money to go pay for some Chargers tickets. Though, I have looked on StubHub. I have looked on Ticketmaster. Some tickets aren't that expensive, and especially the way that they've been playing the past few years. There's been a few good amount of tickets that you could have gone to support. But for the Chargers to play an estimated 14 games basically on the road, why stay in San Diego? Why stay? When you've had so many, you've had chances to vote. You've had the Spanos family put up money. You've had the Chargers and the NFL put an extra $100 million to make it happen, to stay in San Diego, to build a brand new stadium. And you failed to get it done. The mayor failed. The city officials failed. Now, that also goes partially on Spanos for not connecting better with them. And I can also say that Spanos most likely just wanted to move to LA, wanted the stardom, right? Wanted the name, the title of the Los Angeles Chargers. I can agree with that. And so what I'm saying before, I know I'm going to get hate in the comments either way, but what I'm saying is this is on both sides. The city of San Diego, both the citizens and the city officials, including the mayor, who I absolutely dislike, and the Spanos family. It's on both sides. And if you were completely blindsided, that I know there's one guy that the NFL, I was watching NFL.com, they're streaming whatever, and when it all happened, because I thought there was going to be a press conference, which Spanos, of course, again, I'm not a huge fan of him either. I just love the team. I love the team for whatever reason. I love this team, even though they break my heart every season. So, let's move on, because I started ranting. All right, so let's see. Spanos expected to pay the $550 million relocation fee over 10 years rather than make the payments to extend beyond the additional $100 million. The club will pay roughly $12 million to buy out its lease of Qualcomm Stadium in San Diego, then relocate their training facility to Orange County sometime before July 1st. So Another thing I disagree with how the Chargers did this is where they're going to be playing their next home games. 30,000, that's max, and that's being roughly, most people are saying it's really 27,000 seats. Some people even said it was 24,500 seat facility at the StubHub Center, Carson, California. It's where the LA Galaxy plays, soccer team. They're promoting, of course, they got to find some kind of type of benefit out of it. It's a one-of-a-kind product that gives fans an opportunity to be up close and personal with players. I don't understand this. You're going to play in a small stadium, the smallest stadium in the NFL. The second smallest is Oakland's Coliseum, which is like 52,000 and some change, right? This is going to be anywhere from the range of 24,000 to 30,000 max. And and I'm kind of worried. There's not going to be. I know the jokes are that they won't sell it out. They will sell it out. They will sell out, which is great, right? They'll sell out the stadium. The bad part is you don't know how many of those are actually going to be Chargers fans, and especially when the Raiders come to that game, because obviously you have to play them in the AFC West, and they come to play in that stadium. You can't do it like college where you allocate X many amount of tickets to just Chargers fans. If that place is filled with black and silver, which there's a high possibility that 90% of that will be Raiders fans, that's going to be bad. That's going to be very, very bad. And the way the Raiders are playing right now, the way the Chargers are, who knows how they could play by that time, it's leading up to something kind of bad. So, and there's a belief that it helps differentiate them from the Rams. The Rams who, obviously that preseason game, 90,000 opened, and I think we all expected that. I don't think any of us expected 90,000 for the Rams every single game, right? Ended up being like the last game was half empty in the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum. So it's like, okay, you're not going to go there and play there, which would have been tough. You already have USC that plays there on Saturdays, and then the Chargers and the Rams trying to split that. It would have been tough. But there's also like the Rose Bowl, which the Los Angeles Times wrote a pretty good, somewhat article. It was a live update so people could chat in there. But it was pretty good to see how this could have been like a UCLA-USC type rivalry. You could have had the Chargers in the Rose Bowl, which UCLA also plays at. And you could have had, the Rams play in the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum, which the USC Trojans play, and you would have had your own little thing, and that would have been pretty cool. And the Chargers playing the Rose Bowl would have been perfect. Now, I don't know how much of that was realistic, and I don't even know if that was even talked about. But it didn't seem like much of this for the Chargers was talked about. That new logo that you're seeing right up here, that is their working logo, hasn't been approved by the NFL, and thank God, and hopefully it doesn't, because that thing is ugly. That honestly looked like Dean Spanos told an intern at about 4 o'clock in the morning whenever they announced this move that, hey, I need you to make a quick logo. I got you, fam. Dodgers, LA, put a little lightning bolt at the end. And of course, it got made fun of, you had people put lame or LOL and Michael Jordan's face, inside the logo. It was going to happen. And then you had other teams. You had the Tampa Bay Lightning, which is a logo very, very similar to what the Chargers decided to make. You have obviously the Dodgers. You've had the Lakers, the Clippers, the SMU Mustangs. There's another team, the Dallas Stars. Everybody was making fun of the Chargers, which is kind of bad as a Chargers fan. So, in all, the Chargers, I'm going to be a fan of them. I'm going to be a fan of them. If they go completely crazy and they make their uniforms and their new logos start looking like an arena league or something that just looks unprofessional, I'm done with the team. I wanted the team in LA. I got what I wished for. Let's hope they can actually close it out. I need someone to sell me on Anthony Lynn. I'm not a fan of him right now as the head coach of the Chargers. I wish him best of luck. Of course, this is my team. So I'm wishing him best of luck. For the city, for the fans that are in San Diego, I hope you can still make the travel to Los Angeles and support the team there. I understand it's also apparently a 4-hour drive with traffic, so I can understand if you don't go. It's just one of those things, but there's no just blame on just one side. It's not just Dean Spanos and the Chargers organization, and it's not just the city officials and the fans in San Diego. It's both. Both screwed up. Both failed to handle this properly. And it just ended in an ugly, ugly breakup. Go Chargers? I don't know. Let's see what else we got. A couple injury things that are going to be fine. Dallas Cowboys running back Ezekiel Elliott tweeted, quote, "I'm good." After he was involved in a minor car accident near the team's facility on Wednesday, no injuries were reported in the incident, which was just a minor fender bender. So he's all right. And Steelers quarterback Ben Roethlisberger walked with no limp, after injuring his foot in the AFC wildcard game, which was just stupid by Tomlin and Ben Roethlisberger to stay, and Todd Haley to just stay in the game. There's no point. They were up 30-12 with 4 minutes and 30 seconds left. Roethlisberger got hurt on that passing play. There's no point of having Bell, Ben, or Brown in the game at that point. We all knew that there is no comeback for the Dolphins. They weren't in it from the get-go. They weren't in there. That was just kind of dumb to have them playing, and that's what happened. He got hurt. Close. It was bound to happen with something like that. Our last topic of the day is Odell Beckham. He's fine, but he needs to calm down. I'm a fan of Odell Beckham. I am a fan of him, and you can go back several shows right before he was drafted. I wanted the Chargers to get him and Jarvis Landry. I knew Odell Beckham was going to go in the first round, and I knew Jarvis, though he shouldn't have been, I knew he was going to go a few rounds later. I wanted Chargers. We needed wide receivers. We could have had both. But I wasn't in the war room to draft them. But I did say it on my show. So there's that. I called it. But Odell, he's been under scrutiny ever since that famous one-handed catch that rose him to stardom. He's been under scrutiny. He's a superstar now. And everything he does is going to be watched. But his trip to Miami during the week of the wildcard playoff game, then punching a hole in a wall outside the visiting locker room and supposedly pounding his head against in the locker room against the lockers after the playoff loss to Green Bay Packers on Sunday. I don't want to. He doesn't have. It's hard to put. I'm not saying this as just a fan, but I don't believe he has mental issues. Right? I'm not going to go on that far extreme. But I will say he does have some things that he definitely needs to deal with. And New York Giants punter Brad Wing talked to New York Post about Odell Beckham needing to calm down. Wing and Beckham, they've been friends since they were both teammates at LSU. He said, quote, "He's always cared about what the youth think about him, the younger generation. And I know I always want to be the best role model for them." He does, excuse me. And he understands things like that are not helping him in that way. He understands he just has a lot of passion. And me and him are both learning how to harness that in a positive direction, end quote. Now, Beckham's alleged outburst was the culmination of season incidents that have resulted in several things. He's been fined at least 6 times for infractions, including, excessive celebration, I don't count that. Players should be allowed to celebrate. But he's had unsportsmanlike conduct, verbal abuse to an official, and a uniform violation. He also drew his attention for his interactions with kicking the damn kicking net thing for several weeks. And photos of Beckham and his Giants teammates on that Miami boat, drew criticism. And it allowed criticism for the example of lack of focus. And on Monday, quarterback Eli Manning said Beckham has got to back it up, end quote, if he continues to draw attention to himself with his behavior on and off the field. And see, here was my thing, and I don't think I put this correctly last week when I was talking about Odell Beckham's trip to Miami. My thing was, when you do something like that, and I did say that if he struggled and the Giants lost that game, it was going to become a big story. And it was going to follow him all off season long until week 1 of 2017. It's going to be there. It's always going to be there. And he allowed it. Because, for whatever reason, whether your problem was him and the teammates going off to Miami the week of a playoff game against a team they've already lost to, and a team that was hot, and they're visiting them in Green Bay. Was the problem taking a picture and posing on social media for social media, or was it them just going to Miami? What if there was no picture? Of course, we later would have found out by somebody or tweeting or whatever. But we would have found out. Would that have been a problem, or was it the photo? But it allowed the criticism to say, "Well, he's not focused. What is he doing? Why is he out there? Why didn't he wait until the offseason to go out in Miami?" I get it, players need to relax, but this was a big game, and it happened on a Monday before, and I know people want to bring up excuses. There's no excuse for him to be allowed to have an excuse of, well, he's young, right? And all this. No. You got to understand this, especially being at the stardom that he's at and the resources he now has with former players and coaches and everybody trying to mentor him in the right direction. There's no excuse to go out and do that. There wasn't. And of course, he's going to get majority of the blame over Sterling Shepard, Roger Lewis, and Victor Cruz. I don't know if Cruz went. I think Cruz went. It doesn't matter. He's going to get it because he is the star. He is the face of the franchise almost and just about. So Beckham, he is okay, but he needs to calm down and he needs to really take this seriously. He needs to basically grow up, which is hard to say. It's hard to tell him that because I am a fan of Beckham. I truly am. But he has to, because if not, he can easily be on that borderline of what we start seeing with a Johnny Manziel, where they can't handle success, they start doing a few things wrong, and off the cliff they go. I think Odell he's far enough away from it, but it seems like sometimes he can be so close. He can be. I think it's going to be fine. Sometimes I think media is overreacting and makes the story a little bit bigger than what it really is. So that's where I'm trying to be lenient on and trying to lean towards that. But at the same time, Beckham, and I agree completely with Eli Manning, which I never thought I'd say, but Beckham has to back it up on and off the field if he's going to continue to draw attention to himself. If he's going to continue to do this and have the lifestyle that he wants or is doing, that he has, then he needs to back it up. And I get in that football field in Lambeau, catching a football in 4-degree weather compared to 45, 50 degrees, it's completely different. That thing's a rock. I understand that. And I get it's a tough environment, but when you do something like that, you allow all of it to flow right on in for the media. You've opened up a wave for them to do that. You've got to fix it. Beckham, I think you will. Last bit of news here. The Rams have agreed to hire longtime NFL coach Wade Phillips as their defensive coordinator. Wade Phillips, he pulled the old Fumblerooski on all of us. There was reports that he was going to go interview with Washington. And then they backed off and said, no. He's just visiting his family in Washington. And then late last night, out of nowhere, boom, he's agreed to become the Rams defensive coordinator. Which, guess what? I wanted the Chargers to hire Wade Phillips. Bring him back to, can't say San Diego, but bring him back to the Chargers. Sadly, he chose the other LA team. He will work under Sean McVay, who was brought in earlier Thursday to be the team's head coach and the youngest head coach at 30 years old. Phillips takes the role that was vacated by Greg Williams, who left to become the DC at the Cleveland Browns last week. Phillips' most recent role, of course, he was the defensive coordinator for the Denver Broncos and was really the backbone and the reason why they won the Super Bowl back in 2015. Same season, he earned the AP's NFL Assistant Coach of the Year. His contract in Denver expired after the 2016 season, which ended with the Broncos head coach Gary Kubiak stepping down, and Phillips was reportedly set to interview again with Washington, which was McVay's former team. Now, what's going to be interesting, here's the football aspect of it. Phillips traditionally has run a 3-4 defense, but the Rams, they mainly use 4 down linemen, and their defensive strength is their 4 pass rushers, is their defensive line. So how is that going? Is he going to go back to a 4-3, or is he going to change it to a 3, or change all of it to a 3-4? And if he does change it to a 3-4 defense, which I'm assuming you guys should know, but in case you don't, 3 down linemen, 4 linebackers. If he does that, now what does that do for Robert Quinn? Now there's some talk that maybe Robert Quinn, who's their veteran defensive end, their sack machine, that he is asked to stand and play that outside linebacking role, very similar to DeMarcus Ware and Von Miller's type role. To switch it up on him. I think that's what they'll do. Because, I mean, again, the Rams' strength comes on the defensive line, led by Aaron Donald, Robert Quinn, and maybe they change it up. So it's going to be interesting. It's a smart hire by the Rams. I think they're doing some smart things. And that GM, he's doing all he can right now to keep his job, and he's made some good hires. I'm excited to see. I'm kind of wondering how a 30-year-old will take on a head coaching position in the NFL. That'll be interesting, but barriers are meant to be broken, so we'll see. We'll wrap it up here with the NFL divisional predictions. We have the Seattle Seahawks taking on the Atlanta Falcons. Falcons are a 4.5-point favorite. The game's 3:35 p.m. Central Time on Fox. I am taking the Seattle Seahawks. I'm rocking with the Seahawks. I don't understand where people really thought the Lions were going to go into Seattle and win that game. There were people that were really confident that the Lions would win. I'm sorry. I see it in the Seahawks. It's a different team in the playoffs. I get the loss of Earl Thomas, and I think I saw a stat that they haven't recorded an interception since Earl Thomas was lost in Week 13. I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know if I misread that. But if that is true, that's something tough. But I like the Seahawks here. I like them going on the road, avenging that 2013 loss by the Falcons in the NFC Divisional playoff game. So I am taking the Seahawks to win this game. I'm going to go rough. I'm going to go 27-21. Going with the Seahawks. Then later that night, I don't think anybody's going to watch this game. Houston Texans go on the road to play on the New England Patriots. The Patriots are a 16-point favorite. 7:15 p.m. Central Time on CBS. And I agree. Patriots all the way. They're going to win this game. I feel bad for the Texans. But I want to throw this out there real quick. What if the Texans win this game? Do we all agree then that Brock Osweiler was worth that $72 million guaranteed? Because that would be doing the impossible, right? We don't believe the Texans are going to walk into Foxborough, play a Saturday night game, playoff game, divisional playoff game, and defeat Tom Brady and the New England Patriots. None of us think that. But if he goes in there and if Brock Osweiler isn't confident after last week's performance, he will never be confident. He should be rolling high right now. He shouldn't be scared. This should be the most confident Brock Osweiler we have ever seen. Because he played very well. And I get that Raiders didn't have the best defense. They're down. But he's played them before, and he's played other bad teams, and he still struggled, and he looked good. He looked really good. So he's rolling high on confidence. I'm not giving the Texans a chance to win this game, but I'm just saying it would be strange. It would be crazy. That's why they play the game. Any given Saturday, I guess we'll call it. But I'm taking the Patriots to win this game. I'm going to say 35-14. Patriots win the game. And then on Sunday, we have the Steelers versus the Kansas City Chiefs. This game is a pick'em. No line. I think there was a line, but it was even. So a pick'em game, 12:05 p.m. Central Time on NBC. I'm taking. This is actually the toughest game. Sunday's games are the toughest to pick. I really don't know. These two games could go either way, and I'm not trying to save myself. I'm just throwing it out there. Steelers healthy with Big Ben is healthy. And we saw for the first time, that was the first playoff game with Big Ben, Antonio Brown, and Le'Veon Bell. And each dominated that game. Broke records. Not saying they'll do that again. Kansas City, much tougher team in Arrowhead. But I'm taking the Steelers to win. I'm picking the Steelers to win this game. 24-21 on a field goal at the end. Taking the Steelers, but man, it's going to be a really fun game to watch. It really is. Then we have the Packers at the Cowboys. Cowboys a 4-point favorite, 3:40 p.m. Central Time on Fox. And I guarantee you this will be the most watched playoff game in NFL history. I guarantee it. Packers rolling high. On a winning streak. Dominating performance by Aaron Rodgers and company to defeat the the New York Giants. And the Dallas Cowboys. Got a week off to rest. Everybody's now healthy for the Cowboys. Everybody's healthy and ready to go. I'm excited for this game. I know everybody's excited for this game. This should be a prime time game. This should be at 7 o'clock. They should move it down to 7 o'clock. But this pains me. I don't know who to pick. I really don't. I could see the Packers winning this game pretty easily. Just the way they're rocking and rolling right now, they look unstoppable. They look scary. And the Cowboys, it's for non-Cowboys fans, it's like you see them play a tough team and you start thinking, yeah, they're going to lose this game. And then they win. And then Ezekiel Elliott dominates. And Dak Prescott makes smart decisions. And the defense shuts the other team down. And the Cowboys just win. So, I don't know. They've already played the Packers on the road this year, and they won. So, I'm taking the Cowboys to win. I'm taking the Cowboys to win and face the Seattle Seahawks, host them for the NFC Championship game, which will be a fun game. I don't know who else. It's tough. It's tough, but I'm taking the Cowboys. I'm taking the Cowboys to win this game. A very low scoring game. No, it's gonna be up there. I'm gonna say 34-28. 34-28. Cowboys win. Oh man, that's a tough game. That is a tough game, and it's gonna be the best game. I'm gonna try to find a way to record it. I'm gonna record it off my computer. I'll do it because that game's gonna be fun to watch over and over again. That's it for today's show. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe on YouTube. Let's get over 2,000 subscribers on YouTube. We're already 2,400 subscribers on Spreaker. It's absolutely free to subscribe. Just hit that big red button and subscribe on YouTube. Become a fan on Facebook. Follow me on Twitter at Short Sports Show. And I will see you guys next Friday. As always, God first, God bless. I love every single one of y'all. And just enjoy football this week because it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be lots of fun. I will see you guys then. I'm out. Peace.